This web of interlocking nodes represents the human assumption that mastery requires accumulation. We tend to believe that becoming effective in strategy means learning more techniques, more stances, and more intricate systems. High-stakes scenarios expose the flaw in this mindset. When the mind pauses to focus on a specific weapon or registers the fear of death, the central nervous system locks up. The body freezes. Survival requires a counterintuitive response. Instead of adding to the mind, a warrior must ruthlessly empty it. Lethality is a byproduct of what a person is willing to strip away. Miyamoto Musashi provided the empirical proof for this reductive method. He fought 62 lethal duels over his lifetime and remained undefeated. He achieved this record by actively rejecting aesthetic combat. He viewed rigid traditions and technical flourishes as useless distractions that increased the risk of death. His philosophy was defined by pure utility. In the Book of Five Reims, he argues that every movement must serve the unhesitating purpose of cutting down the opponent. Musashi treated combat as a physics equation. His life was a process of elimination that removed the performance and left only the mechanics of timing. He called his system Niten Ichi-Ryu, or two heavens, one style, a method built on adaptable pragmatism. These two blades, seen side by side, represent the core of his physical mechanics. By wielding the long katana and short wakizashi simultaneously, Musashi could parry and strike without needing a fixed, rigid stance. He described this as the flowing water cut. The body expands and moves before the sword, conforming to the enemy's timing, reacting with the same lack of resistance as water meeting a jagged obstacle. Relying on a single weapon or a fixed posture provides the enemy with a predictable data point. This overfamiliarity reveals your spirit and creates an exploitable weakness. The goal is to strip the body of predictable form, eliminating any information the enemy can use to calculate a counterattack. In 1645, Musashi retreated to the Reigen-do cave to prepare for his death. He began his final act of subtraction by giving away all his physical possessions. Here he wrote the Dokkōdō, a strict manual for psychological subtraction and asceticism. The text commands the reader to accept everything exactly as it is and to abandon the pursuit of pleasure. By stripping away the desire for comfort and the fear of dying, the warrior removes the internal friction that causes hesitation in combat. Removing ego and attachment removes the opponent's psychological leverage. There is no longer a person to manipulate, only a series of actions. Musashi identified the absolute pinnacle of his strategy as the state of no design, no conception. This diagram shows the convergence of stimulus and response. In this state, there is no cognitive lag. The gap between perceiving an opening and executing a strike disappears. This creates what Musashi called in-one timing. It is the ability to see a standoff and strike at the exact microsecond an opening appears, without a single conscious thought interrupting the process. If you allow a strategic thought to enter your mind during the clash of blades, you introduce a delay. In a lethal duel, that delay is fatal. Perfect strategy requires the total removal of the conscious mind from the physical act of combat. Musashi's final chapter, The Book of the Void, represents the conclusion of his process of subtraction. He built this philosophy on a specific premise. By knowing things that exist, you can know that which does not exist. He defines the void as Mushin, a state of no mind, where the sense of self, the craving for result, and the concepts of good and evil are entirely removed. By mastering the mechanics of the world and then stripping them away, the warrior replaces logic with pure, uninhibited existence. A cut delivered from the void happens without conscious premeditation. It exists outside the normal flow of time, because the mind did not have to process the intent to strike. This ancient mastery of subtraction highlights a universal mechanic of survival. Accumulation creates friction. Whether on a 17th century battlefield or in a modern crisis, adding more tactics and information creates a cognitive load that leads to paralysis. By removing fear, hesitation, and the ego, a person leaves an opponent with no psychological leverage to exploit. action becomes inevitable.